Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Gilded Shadows. This is actually my second time recording this specific portion of the route because the last video that I recorded for this I had some issues with. I'm still experimenting with my setup, so I am running into the occasional hiccup, but we're getting through it. Okay, so she tipped her head to the side to check her score, then quickly twisted the bag to get a better look. Whoa, who the heck set this on 2500 for you? Well, Ari said it was a sort of benchmark. He didn't think I'd actually hit it anytime soon. He said that well-trained agents can get up to 2800 pretty easily. Or, 3324 if they're you. Vaughn laughed at that, looking down at her hand as she opened and closed it. That's right, because she does have the, as you guys can see, she has the prosthetic, so that probably helps. Well, not gonna lie. Zisselton, skeleton, and muscle fibers in my arm and shoulder help. Also sometimes spelled Zisselton. This is a metallic glass made of zinc, silicone, and titanium that is used for many advanced cybernetic prosthetics. It is also used as one of the base materials for neo-human skeletal and muscular structures, as well as many of their organs. This alloy is lightweight and has both high tensile strength and resilience, making it an excellent choice for a variety of uses in multiple fields. Show off. Impressed? Not anymore. That's harsh. Anyway, where's your teacher? He wasn't answering messages, so I figured he was busy with you. That's right. So in the last episode, Ari had to, I think he had to skip the last few training sessions because he's been busy, I guess with some other stuff. And yet, here you are alone. I haven't seen him. We were supposed to start at 7. He's nearly an hour late, as you can see. Ari is late? Is the world ending? Should we go find a window and check? I think the world is probably fine. He did let me know he was behind schedule this morning. Again. But he's been late nearly every day this week, and he usually gets called out early too. Those jerks in the council really aren't giving him much time to rest, are they? I guess the situation on Syrah is really that bad. Syrah? Caleb told me they were having him teleport people somewhere. I trailed off, the realization hitting me. Are you suggesting Ari is teleporting people to the moon? Surprised? No, I'm saying it this way because I'm completely not surprised by it. That's unbelievable. How far is his range? Is something like that even normal? That depends on your definition of normal, I suppose. I had no idea he was capable of something like that. I assumed Ari was teleporting people to another city or something. Well, Syrah is the only big thing going on right now. I guess I thought there might be something surface side that I wasn't aware of. I am still a complete newcomer. I assume there are things I'm not being told about. Fortunately, no. It's just Syrah. No wonder Ari looks so tired these days. Yeah, he works hard, and he doesn't usually question it when they ask him to do something. He just does it. Even when he's completely exhausted? That isn't healthy. I mean, I know that's the whole chain of command thing here, but I don't think working at Endgame should mean obediently exhausting yourself just because someone told you to. Trust me, I totally agree with you on that, but no matter how much we tell him to speak up, he says it's fine. She stepped off the mat and joined me where I was leaning against the wall. So how are you two getting on anyway? Everything going okay? So yeah, I talked about this in the previous recording that I wasn't able to upload, but I am a little concerned over, I guess, Ari's inability to say no. He doesn't necessarily seem like a people pleaser, but he seems very duty bound to the extent where he puts that above like literally everything else. So I think it'll be interesting to see how his character develops and how that's dealt with. We're getting along fine. He's been very helpful, though I'm sure having to teach me from the ground up is frustrating. Ari isn't the sort to get frustrated by that. At the very least, I doubt he enjoys it. Anyway, we had dinner once, but I think he's been too busy for it since. He's probably a lousy dinner companion anyway. Don't say that. Everyone picks on him way too much, and it's better than eating alone. That's right, MC, you defend your man. What do you two even talk about? He can make it seem like there isn't much more to him than work. I don't think that's a fair statement though, Vaughn. Cause you know, I mean, it's his work is clearly very important to him, right? But that doesn't mean that that's all there is to him. You never really know all the different sides to someone, even if you've lived with them for years. Especially when they're like Ari and they tend to sort of hide things or not be expressive about some things. Honestly, he mostly listens to me talk. He asks about my studies, my family, what I did before coming here, and it never occurred to him some of that might be hard to talk about. Maybe he assumed I'd tell him if I didn't want to talk about it, which I would. Avoiding talking about it doesn't fix the situation. Besides, it's still something I'm passionate about. I don't mind sharing my experiences. And it might also be because Ari doesn't have a lot of other experiences outside of work, right? Because he was raised in Endgame. So his whole life has always been about this. When I thought about what she said about there not being much more to Ari than work, I wasn't really sure I believed that. Certainly, he was a little difficult to get to know, but maybe he didn't have many other experiences to share than work ones. Exactly. Given how much they seemed to overwork him, that hardly seemed like his fault. But even in the time I'd known him, I could tell there was more to him than that. Still, the overwork issue was probably true for a lot of agents. That could be why some younger agents were so competitive. I'm glad I'm already used to not having a social life, I guess. That's so sad. Anyway, outside of that, how's your training going? Fantastic. I'm basically a complete expert at falling down now. And getting back up, since that's the important part. We've graduated to blocking, punching, meditation, and I was cleared for side training. Though we haven't gotten very far, we've been working on clairvoyance and awareness for a couple of days now. Well, it looks like you're progressing quickly in that area. It's difficult to say. We haven't exactly gotten far. He's taught me about the concept of cages and spheres. That's probably why you noticed me so quickly earlier. I have been kind of working on the sphere aspect, since that seems to be Ari's forte. Sphere is the name given to an Esper's psychic awareness, but it can also refer to the range of their abilities. For instance, a knight's ability to teleport is limited to the range of their clairvoyant awareness. Usually a sphere will extend out from the ground in all directions, but most espers do not project into the ground. Theories about why espers tend to only project up and out center around the belief humans instinctively assume there is nothing to be aware of in the ground, while others believe it has something to do with an instinctive attempt to increase visual awareness and line of sight. Most espers can only extend their spheres an even in an even radius, and the ability to distort the shape of one sphere is uncommon. And because I need to work on that before the cage thing. A cage is a psi technique that involves an esper focusing in on a specific location within their sphere in order to block out the superfluous input and target a single area with condensed psi energy. Cages are used for a variety of purposes, such as during teleportation to pick a target location. There are many different interpretations of how cages and spheres work, as well as when and how they are used. Generally, it is viewed and taught as if it's similar to placing a magnifying glass over a specific area within a user's sphere, though this may not be the correct interpretation. A reverse cage is when an esper encloses themselves or a specific area in a cage to block out all other psychic input, or else to block out other espers from being able to perceive them. Where a cage acts as a sort of hyperfocus on a specific spot, a reverse cage is like the opposite. It behaves almost like a shield to keep all psionic energy out. Weak reverse cages can be mimicked by some technology and are utilized by the Nomos to protect important areas in the wastes. You seem to be getting the hang of it if earlier was any indication. I wasn't really trying to do that, though. That's the whole point. Your sphere is just your general range of awareness. Once you open up to the idea of being aware of more than what you can naturally see and hear, it doesn't matter if you're trying to be aware of it. A cage is what requires focus, because that's when you're trying to hone in on something specific. The hardest thing for most people is turning it off at all, or turning it all off. That's the reverse cage thing Ari mentioned. Yep, though whether you actually need to worry about that will be based on how strong your general awareness is. For Ari, the reason why meditation is so important is that he's too aware of his surroundings. He needs to stay focused so he can block it all out. That sounds horrible. Like, that sounds like it would take so much concentration and be so exhausting to have to do that all the time. I mean, that can be a problem for many of the really adept clairvoyants, but even more so for Ari. His sphere is massive, as you can imagine. If he can teleport people as far as the moon, yeah, pretty massive. And we don't really even know the upper end of his range. That's the scary part. Unlike most people who feel outward from themselves in a fairly even radius, Ari can change the shape of his sphere, which can extend his range very far in a single direction. Imagine having even a subconscious awareness of everything within that kind of massive sphere. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it would be extremely overwhelming. I mean, you wouldn't be able to function, would you? Pretty much. But that also makes him a great person to teach you about this kind of stuff. He has a lot of experience with it and can probably explain it way better than someone like me. This makes me curious as to what it was like for him when his abilities first developed. Because he's so strong as far as what he's capable of. Maybe that's part of the reason why he's always so controlled and so sort of reserved isn't the right word, but it's almost like he doesn't want to relax, right? And be open because maybe that's what happens when he is like that. I thought this sort of thing was a bishop's forte. What kind of bishop even are you? That's the kind that is incredibly good at telekinesis. All of that brain stuff just makes my head overheat. Literally all Sai stuff is brain stuff. She laughed at my teasing. Anyway, since Ari's late and not answering messages, why don't we head down to the lounge for a while? This place smells like sweaty socks. I mean, that's probably me you're smelling. It smells like that no matter who's here. Besides, you look like you can use a break. It's only been an hour. Like I said, it's a good time for a break. Okay, so I think we should stay and wait a while longer because I feel like if Ari just wasn't going to show up, he would have messaged us or like let us know. Because he is really responsible and he did let us know that he was going to be late. So I'll stay and wait a while longer. Seriously? He's an hour late. Guys, do you hear that? I think this is new music. I always get really excited whenever we get new music because that typically means there's going to be some sort of major development in the plotline or something. I know, but since I can't reach him right now, I don't want to leave and have him show up without knowing where I am. He can always send you a message. But when we're face to face, he'll give me that look that makes me feel like I've disappointed my father. I don't think that's the direction we're going for, Morgan. I don't think we want to compare him to our father. I'm not sure he'd approve of knowing you see him as a father figure. Oh, believe me, I don't. But he's very good at doing that fatherly disappointment thing. Okay, thank goodness. 'Cause yeah, that would be a little concerning, given the fact that we're trying to romance the boy. I'll have to take your word for that. I'll give him another half an hour, that's all. Damn right. Then I'm going to come back to check. And if he's not here, I'm going to initiate a little kidnapping of my own. Okay, maybe just an idea. Maybe we should avoid the word kidnapping, given, how we met, Vaughn. Please don't. I never thought I'd say this, but I've definitely experienced all the kidnappings I need to experience in my life. After Vaughn left, I picked up the gloves I'd been using before and slipped them back on. Hopefully Ari would show up soon. I'd gotten too used to having someone direct my training sessions, so working alone felt weird. Taking up my stance in front of the punching bag, I lifted my hands to the position Ari taught me and started flailing at it with renewed vigor. I'd like to think my punches looked as amazing as I felt, but I suspected I'd die of embarrassment if I could actually see myself. Yeah, so I can completely relate to this. I used to be a runner. Like I ran track in middle school and high school, and I trained for a half marathon. And every time I would have to go running on the streets versus like a track, I would always get really really self conscious about my form because I mean you try to keep good posture based on what you've been told, but you don't really know what you look like. My workouts were still light, but I was gaining an appreciation for how hard agents were here worked to stay in top form. As I tried to better my previous score, I thought about Ari. He was sending people all the way to Sira, and so frequently. It just made me worry even more about what was happening up there. Oliver was head of agriculture on a fringe settlement, so I doubted he was in any danger, which was a relief. I think Oliver is her other brother, because she has two brothers, if I remember correctly. Based on what the news was saying, all the riots and protests were in the major cities, but that was before all communication channels went dead. As it was now, we only knew what little we could glean from the sparse reports coming out. Ugh, I wondered where exactly Endgame's team fit in everything. What were they doing up there? Law enforcement? Relief efforts? Evacuations? None of these boded well for the colonists. There was a sudden sharp pain at the back of my head, and I whirled around. Ugh, Heidi, no. Okay, please, Heidi, just be nice. I know you don't like us, but can we at least keep things civil, please? Heidi was standing in the door, arms crossed, watching me with the same cool expression she always seemed to have when she looked at me. The silence dragged on, and when it appeared she wasn't going to say anything, I did. Sorry. This room has been reserved for my training. Oh? Weren't you supposed to have a personal teacher here for those? Ari's late. Well, I guess there's a lot of things more important than teaching an outsider the basics of how to function here. The acid dripping from her tone caught me off guard. She'd said a few things before that had seemed a little pointed, but she'd never been openly rude. It's probably because you guys are alone, right? Because every other time you guys had an interaction, there were other people there to witness her bad behavior, but there's no one here now. Lovely. I really wasn't in the mood to deal with something like this. It wasn't like I was trying to be an outsider. Did you want something, Heidi? Or did you just stop by to pick a fight? Because if it's the latter, I have other things to do. If I wanted to pick a fight, you wouldn't stand a chance. You're right, I wouldn't. You'd surely pulverize me with your superior skill and technique. Now that we've established that you have the upper hand, can you please leave? I'm trying to focus. Do you even know how much time is being invested in your training? Time people could be spending doing things more worthwhile. Well, that's not our fault. I mean, Morgan doesn't even want to be here, Heidi. So, lay off. Ari has responsibilities that are more important than dealing with some novice who lucked into her position. So I talked about this the first time I made this video. With her wording here, it sort of makes me think of something. The way she says lucked in. It makes me wonder if maybe a lot of her animosity isn't caused by the fact that, I don't know how long she's been a member of Endgame, but she's really had to work to get to where she's at, right? She's at the top of her class, she's worked extremely hard, whereas Morgan lived a normal life up until this point and pretty much pursued her interests. And all of a sudden, she shows up and she's, queen rank and gets all this training from like I guess people who are really high status in the organization. I could understand how that could engender some bad feelings. I had a feeling that challenging her wasn't going to do much more than make her angrier. And while I actually couldn't say I cared about whether she was angry or not, especially when it was over something so mind numbingly stupid, We were colleagues now. I wanted to try to avoid infighting with other agents as much as possible. As difficult as it was, I swallowed down the anger and just shrugged off her words. Well, it's not like I disagree with you. As a member of the Guard, Arya most definitely has responsibilities more important than training me. From the look on her face, I didn't think she expected me to say that. It was more than a little satisfying to see the confusion flash over her features. But in the end, what I said also wasn't wrong. I wasn't quite so full of myself to believe training me was the most important thing on his plate right now. Her eyes narrowed slightly, and I watched her hands curl to fists as she held them rigidly next to hers sides. That's it? Don't you even care that you're not getting trained properly? Well, I think I'm making decent progress considering I'm new at this point. Decent progress. Because you could tell I was standing in the doorway before turning around. I could do that when I was 10. Heidi, oh my god. Give me a break, please, girl. Like, we get it. You're great. You're awesome. Good for you. You don't need to like stomp all over Morgan to prove your superiority. I was in school when I was 10, so you'll have to forgive the delay in psi-based milestones. Are you even taking any of this seriously? Do you know how important a position you have here? We can't win with her. So she starts off by being like, you're wasting Ari's time. He has more important things to do. And Morgan agrees with her. Morgan's like, yeah, I'm sure he does with everything that's going on. And then she gets mad that Morgan agrees with her and is like, you're not taking your training seriously. Like, okay. It's been pretty well beaten into me at this point, yes. I assume they don't pull civilians off the street when they're only infantry. However, unlike other people here, I'm not completely obsessed with ranks and position. I'm just trying to do my best. I can't believe someone like you. Please, don't act as if I asked to be here, as if I swept in off the street and demanded to be put on the guard. I'm here because I was placed here by others. And I didn't ask for you or anyone else to judge me for not meeting whatever expectations you created for me. I'm sorry you don't like that I'm here, but if I have to live with it, so do you. Stomping around having tantrums won't change that. So I would appreciate it if you would let me focus on practice. I can't believe Ari had to waste his time training someone like you. And look who shows up. Though it isn't as if you're the one who decides whether it's a waste of time for me to work with someone. Heidi's eyes went wide as she rolled around. Ari stepped around the doorframe and barely looked her way as he walked towards me. Ari, I didn't mean. If you'll excuse us, I'm very late, and we don't have time for this. He wasn't angry or anything. There was no emotion in his voice at all. It was almost worse than being angry at her. Heidi seemed to think so too. She shot me a poisonous glare as she retreated, leaving me both confused and exasperated. Ari looked my way, but I shrugged. I was practicing when she showed up and tried to pick a fight. I see. She and I had a conversation earlier. I didn't realize she would come here before me. A conversation about? It's irrelevant, and not if the end result means she comes to pick a fight with me. She is frustrated that I continue to reject her request to train her. That's all. Perhaps we should get started. We've lost a lot of time. I'm not the only one who was late. I got started a long time ago.